More than 25% of all students who graduate high school in Oneida County enroll at MVCC the following fall. MVCC also has more than 20% of our students who are 25 years or older. And then we also have several students who have a particular unique journey, meandering pathway to find their way to MVCC for one reason or another, to plug into our programs and services on their own individual, unique educational journey. And today, Bedour Soliman is one of those students, and she's with me on MVCC's Hawk Talk podcast to share her story.
Hawk Talk with President VanWagoner.
So Bedour Soliman, welcome to MVCC's Hawk Talk. It's great to be with you, and I'm really looking forward to our conversation today.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited for this.
Great. So tell me about where you were born and what it was like growing up for you.
So I'm Egyptian. I was born and grew up in Egypt. I'm originally Nubian, so it's like an ethnic group from southern Egypt and northern Sudan. But in the 50s, they had to build a dam, and that whole area was not inhabitable anymore. And as a result, my family immigrated to Alexandria. So I was born and raised in Alexandria, but I identify as Nubian, and I always try and visit as much as I can. But Alexandria was a beautiful place to grow up. You're right on the Mediterranean. You have a huge cultural center. You have so many people, you have so many activities, but in the same time, everyone is relaxed, and you don't have that I would say the stress of a city, but you are in a great city. And then when I was about 18, I finished high school. I went on I took a gap year, came here to the US on an exchange program. And then I went back to Egypt and came back here again.
Where did you go? Where did you come to the United States for the exchange program the first time?
So it was called Near East South Asia Undergraduate Exchange Program. And I was, you kind of go to school and experience the culture in the US. So I was also in a SUNY school. It was SUNY Cobleskill.
Oh, okay, SUNY Cobleskill, sure.
Yeah, it was a fun experience being in a smaller town, being in northern New York that I didn't know existed. I only knew the city.
Sure.
But it was really good. I got to experience a lot of stuff that I never seen before. I've never seen so many trees, hills, the outdoors. Mm-hmm. I never experienced that growing up. And it was a very friendly campus. So I had a great time.
And that was a gap year right out of high school. And then you went back to Egypt and...
Yes. So the exchange program was a J1 visa that require you to you sign a contract that you'll go back, you go back to your home country, and it's an exchange of culture. So they wanted me to go back and share my experience of what the US was like for me, what I learned while I was there. And that was also I enjoyed that part because we got to attend different events and talk to other students who are interested in going abroad and going on an exchange program. But I fell in love with the US during that time. I really enjoyed the education system here, and I knew at some point I would like to be back.
Mm-hmm. So then when you came back, where did you?
So I went back home and I went to school to Alexandria University. I was studying business, and I was there for 3.5 years. Unfortunately, my last semester I wasn't able to finish, and I came back here because when I was in Cobleskill, I met my husband, and we stayed together during that time, and we were going through the migration process for me. So I couldn't take my last 2 tests, and I decided to come here instead. But it's okay. It worked out great at the end.
So the second time, did you come back to Cobleskill a second time or no?
No. So the second time, my husband got a job in Utica, community bank. And he was like, hey, would you be okay coming to Utica? And I was like, I'm moving a whole new country, so I'm okay with Utica. Yeah. It was a great opportunity for him. So I just Googled it, and I was like, oh, it's a city, so I would enjoy that. I didn't want a small town. And then I was reading about Utica, and I got the refugee center and all the refugee population and how it's so culturally diverse. And I was like, okay, this seems would be the perfect spot for me.
Yeah.
So I was excited about this. And when I did come to Utica, I really enjoyed it. We've been here 5 years, and we decided not to move, and we bought a house. and we're settled here now.
Great. And what was it like for you when you first moved to the area?
So when I first moved, I remember like getting off of 90 on Genesee Street, kind of downtown, and seeing the Adirondacks Bank with the Golden Dome. And I was like, wow, I really like that building. So I think I had a lot of emotions. I was excited, but a part of me was nervous knowing that this time I was immigrating. It wasn't just, I'm here for 11 months. I know I have my return ticket. I was still in that limbo, but I had my family with me. They came with me for the wedding. So that I was more comfortable, like knowing I have my family and like my husband as a support system. But I really enjoyed it. Like, we have great food in Utica, which is amazing. I met so many people from so many different countries, which was even more amazing. And I just liked that there's always something going on because I get bored easily. So that was good.
Great. And going through your bachelor's degree in Egypt and college, what was your kind of career aspirations and interests?
So I wasn't 100% sure growing up what I wanted to do. I did a lot of volunteer work. So I saw like being in the developmental field would be like something I wanted to do. So that's why I went for like in the beginning for a business degree, because I thought this is broad enough that when I know what my passion is, I can like zero in on it and like go further with it. And when I first came here, I like volunteered at the refugee center because I was like very passionate about their cause, and I related a lot to like the struggle of being in a new country. You don't speak the language 100%, you have an accent, you don't have like your family and friends or what you're used to. And I enjoyed working in the refugee center a lot, but I felt like I think I'm a little emotional. So it took a toll on me having someone struggling. So I was like, this is not the field for me.
And what did you do at the center?
I was a volunteer coordinator.
Okay.
So I kind of did everything, well, mainly like recruiting volunteers, but whenever there's something going on, I would be like helping or like seeing with, coordinating if who can do this task or like who fits with that task, making sure, I take care of if they have any concerns, if they want to ship in any way. So it was a great job, but I just like knowing that a family have an immigration interview and like something happened and they couldn't make it, I would just get very upset for them. And I knew long term, like mentally, it was just taking too much of a toll on me.
Yeah. So where did you go from there?
So after that, I got a job in AAA as a travel agent because I was like, I love traveling. I traveled a lot in my life and I thought this would be kind of my calling. It was a really fun job, but it was too focused on sales, not just like, let me tell you what to visit in this country. I had like too many sales goals to meet. So that was a little stressful. But at the time, I was like watching some programming videos, and my husband is in IT, but he does like networking, but he had like his friends who did programming. And I thought that was like very cool and interesting. So I decided to kind of go back to school and study that because I was like, I'm finally passionate about this and I should go for it. Like, I'm here in the US, I can do whatever I want now.
And so how did you find your way to MVCC as you have now identified your passion?
Yeah.
And how did you find your way to MV?
So I feel like we're lucky that there's a lot of colleges here. I wasn't sure where to go, but I heard about MV multiple times from multiple people. So I kind of reached out to multiple colleges and I reached out to MV. At the time, my immigration status was kind of in between, like I'm waiting on paperwork. So I wasn't sure, do I qualify as an international student or an in-state student? So my first encounter with MV was with the International Student Office. They were amazing. They met with me. They sat down with me. I told them my whole immigration story, my humongous file, and they helped me navigate what I qualify for. And I was fortunate that I just became qualified for in-state tuition. And I was like, yes, I can do this. Then afterward, I was telling them we have a lot of IT programs here in MV, and I wasn't sure which one I should even go for. And I knew I wanted to keep working because, my family, I have to keep, an income coming. Yeah. I couldn't do school full time. So at the time, Dean Mahivik was super accommodating. The same day, he took the time out of his schedule to meet with me, went to his office And I also like let him know what I was interested in, and he walked me through the programs, and he said like, I think Code Academy would be a good fit for you because you want to like get in the work field as soon as possible and you want to learn programming. And as an adult student, I did not have the luxury of like going for a full-blown degree and like taking a lot of gen eds. So right then and there I was like, MV is a place for me. Like no other college took the time to like a lot of time out of their day to like see my unique situation and help me decide what would be perfect for me. And I was really touched by this. And at that point, I was like, this is it. I'm going to MV. I'm starting in the fall.
Great. So yeah, center me on the timeline. What fall of what year?
So that was fall of 2019.
2019. And the Coding Academy was how long?
So the Coding Academy was 2 semesters.
Okay.
Wow.
Yeah, fall and spring.
Yeah, fall and spring.
Yep.
So, fall and spring. So I started with like 2 programming. It was great because all the classes were in the afternoon. So I would go to work in the morning, come here in the afternoon, take my classes. And like every single professor that I had in my programming classes were just amazing and went above and beyond, making sure like I had 100 questions. They answered all of them. I let them know that I was like interested in more if there's like any opportunity to do more. So they would always let me know if there's like a recruiting event for a company for an internship, or if I want an extra project, they would take the time and help me with that, which was really great. Then I went after that, I went full-time here at MV.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, because the pandemic hit and travel industry took a huge hit.
Not a good time to be a travel agent during the pandemic.
No.
Yeah.
It was not a great time at all. But at the same time, like money was still an issue for me. So I wasn't sure if I can go full-time. And I applied for scholarships here. And I did get one that was 1 year full tuition. When the pandemic hit. So like the pandemic hit in March, I knew in May that I got the scholarship. I was like getting out of Code Academy and I was like, this is it. This is my sign. So I need to quit my job and go to school full time. And this is what I did because I already had like the credits from Code Academy and I had some credits from my school, like the gap year. So I knew if I could push through it and take 5-6 courses a semester, I can finish it in that year. And that's what I did.
Wow. What was it like being a full-time student during the global pandemic?
It was interesting. It was definitely a different experience from like going to school full-time during, normal when there's no COVID, because there wasn't like as many activities. It was all remote. But even though it was all remote, I was still able to have, it wasn't the same experience, but I think was able to have the same quality of education, because I had a physics class and I was like, how am I going to do this? I can't imagine physics online. But I had Professor Sharma, who's a great professor, and we had the lab kits, and I did it all at home in my living room. I was like, I can't believe I'm doing this in my home.
So how did you get the lab kits?
The bookstore.
Okay. Great.
They mail everything to you, so I didn't even have to come to campus. Wow. But yeah, and he was very patient and had us in groups to make sure, we got all the observation, and we even had all these fun videos to keep us interested in the class, trying to do it at home.
Wow. What was of your time as a student at MVCC, what was your favorite part about being a student here?
Well, everyone here is very nice, professors, administrator, even students. Everyone is just so helpful. Everyone is happy to be here. You don't feel anyone is forced or just oh, I'm trying to get this day over with. And everyone really tries to go the extra mile, because I started full time and I was taking a class with Professor Hendricks, and he was letting us know hey guys, I also work on campus. If you need any help, just feel free to stop by my office anytime. So I let him know, I really want to get an internship or a job, because I know in IT you need experience. Having a degree is great, but if you don't have an experience, that could be problematic. And at the time in the help desk, there was only a work study job open, but I didn't get work study. So I let him know. I was do you think who do I talk to? Is there anything you can help me with? And he got me in contact with MJ and let her know like, hey, I have the student in my class and she's interested. And it was also during the pandemic, so I wasn't even sure like, are they hiring? Because like there isn't that many people on campus. But she was great, and she had like a virtual interview with me, and I started like working part-time on campus in the help desk, as a student assistant, even though there wasn't many students, but it was interesting to learn like how everything working remotely and how IT is supporting everyone.
Yeah.
So, and they worked around my class schedule, which was amazing. So like, I feel like if Professor Hendrick did not take the time to like connect me with MJ, and MJ did not take the time out of her day to like see, hey, how can I fit her? Because later on I learned that she had to like work the budget because they wasn't sure if they can get like a work study student or like a student working that semester.
Yeah. Yeah. During the pandemic, you might think that things were slower than normal, but in IT, they were probably as busy as ever. So having MJ Perry as the executive director of IT, getting creative to staff up as she needed to support students and faculty and staff during the pandemic was something she probably did on a regular basis throughout the pandemic. So you go through the pandemic, and at 1920 and then 2021 academic years, and you finish your degree at MVCC. And what did you do with your degree?
So by the time I finished my degree, like in May, a part-time position was opening up at the help desk. So I was definitely interested in it. So I did go for it, and I started working part-time. I was like, it's not programming, but at least I'm building a base in like computer knowledge. I know how stuff work. And at the same time, I was like still working on my programming, and like, doing some projects on my free time. And then I was like super fortunate. They had like a lot of people moving, and a programmer position opened up. And I was like, this is it. I have to go for it. And I was super fortunate. I did get the programmer position, and I started the end of September of like 2021. So I feel like things moved quite fast for me, but like, if it wasn't for the pandemic, I would still be, working and taking classes in the afternoon. But it kind of worked out great for me. And yeah, it's been awesome being a programmer here now.
What a confluence of events, from just coming in and seeing the gold dome on the M&T Bank for the first time. Confluence of events to come through to the Coding Academy, the pandemic, degree, full-time scholarship. Part-time on-campus job, full-time job opens up, and now as a full-time programmer at MVCC. Through your experiences at MVCC, both student and employee, can you recall just maybe one memorable experience that kind of stands out for you?
Again, like here, if you, like all the professors, if you let them know, like I want to work on myself, if there's an opportunity, let me know. It was Professor Tom Mahivik. I was taking like 2 programming classes with him, and I let him know, like, if anything comes up, please let me know. And he did. Like before I that summer when I graduated, I was still considered a student. There was the GenCyber Camp. And he let me know, like, hey, we're running this camp for a week. Let me know if you want to do this. And I was like, yes, I definitely want to do this. So it was really fun. Like, it was programming and it was like working, but in a completely kind of different atmosphere than what I'm used to. Like in my help desk job, I used to deal more with like faculty and like students who are going to MV with the cyber camp. It was like high school students, and it was just fun seeing like all these young kids like excited about getting into IT and like excited about cybersecurity, and teaching them all these concepts. Like I learned so much during the camp, but also like teaching them that in a fun way, not just in a classroom setting. And it was virtual, and it was still very fun and very helpful. And like the whole team, I'm not sure how they did it, but they managed to make like this 1 week full of events.
Yeah.
It was a great experience.
And that GenCyber Camp is through our cybersecurity programs, the grant we have through the National Security Agency with the NSA. And don't the students, do they like build a computer from scratch?
So,
or something along those lines?
I never did it when it was on campus. So when it was on campus, you'd go into groups and you do build your computer from scratch. Because we were remote, they had
sure.
this amazing camera setup, and they walked the student like every single step. And so how they were doing it, one of the professor was kind of guiding us, the student assistant, to build it, and just letting us kind of make mistakes that anyone at home will do. And it was like all on Discord, so it was live, and the students were asking questions halfway, or like, why is this not working? And kind of like guessing. But so it was kind of challenging being remote. But other parts of the camp was like it's MBot. It's like this really cute robot that you get to like do basic programming and have that robot do all kind of activities, and you kind of have all kind of challenges for the robot to do. And every single student actually received a robot in the mail, so they were able to follow along with that, with some other stuff that they were able to follow along at their home.
Very good.
Yeah, it was really fun. And I got one too, so I still have it.
Well, there you go. That, can see why that memory sticks out on a number of levels for you. Yeah.
Yeah, it was because it's not every day that you get to learn so much while like having a great time and just, like having fun.
Great. And so through all of those experiences, both student, employee, and otherwise, MVCC has become a part of your life.
Yes.
So as if I ask you the question, what does MVCC mean to you? What would you say?
I don't know. That's a hard one because I feel like MVCC means a lot to me. Like I worked a lot throughout my life, and I went to like 2 different schools, but this is like the first time that I'm excited to go to work in the morning and I'm not dreading it. And not just because like programming is my passion, just because every single interaction I have throughout the day is such a great interaction. And like Utica is amazing, but the MVCC community is even more amazing. And like I feel I don't need to go anywhere else. I can have everything I need right here.
Very good. Well, your story is so interesting and inspiring. Persistence through the pandemic, walking through the door when it opens, and taking advantage of the opportunities here at MVCC as they've presented themselves to you. And so, Bedour Soliman, thank you so much for joining me here on MVCC's Hawk Talk podcast.
Oh, thank you, Randy. Thank you for having me.
Hawk Talk with President VanWagoner.